A profound shift occurred just a fraction of a second ago, entirely beneath your conscious awareness. Prior to your finger ever clicking play, before the initial sound wave even registered in your mind, an unseen energy field acknowledged your presence. This was absolutely not the result of a cold digital algorithm. It was not a chaotic glitch within the matrix of the internet, nor was it mere coincidence. It was, in its purest form, resonance. Allow that specific concept to settle within your mind for a brief moment, for it serves as the clandestine motor driving the entirety of your existence. Resonance operates as a subtle, underlying power, drifting silently beneath the observable world of logic, physical touch, and empirical explanation. It acts as an ethereal cord, persistently attempting to weave its way into your reality for an era much longer than you could possibly fathom, intricately threading itself through your deepest aspirations and profound disappointments until arriving at this exact pinnacle of synchronization. Pause for a brief interlude. Simply bring everything to a halt. I invite you to genuinely anchor yourself in your present coordinates. I am not referring to your physical location on a map, but rather your profound internal landscape. Acknowledge the accumulated mass of the preceding weeks, or perhaps the exhausting accumulation of recent months. Currently residing deep within your physical vessel, it might manifest as a constricted sensation within your ribcage, a suffocating burden bearing down upon your shoulders, or perhaps a relentless, throbbing fatigue situated just behind your eyes, an exhaustion that even the deepest slumber fails to alleviate. You have been tasked with bearing a monumental load. You have stood your ground and held the barricades in manners that the vast majority of individuals surrounding you are completely blind to, much less capable of validating. You have been forced to traverse a terrain composed of constantly morphing illusions, desperately attempting to maintain your true north, while the dependable compass points you once relied upon have gradually evaporated into the mist. Meanwhile, the cosmos, that infinite, pulsating consciousness flowing through the microscopic voids between atoms, has been broadcasting continuous flares in your direction. These dispatches initially manifested as faint murmurs, trivial oddities that you easily brushed aside as mere serendipity. Subsequently, the volume escalated into undeniable synchronicities, prompting you to freeze for a fleeting second before your rational brain intervened to quickly explain away the magic. Consequently, you have arrived at this very destination. Let me be clear, this is far from standard digital media. This is by no means just another piece of disposable entertainment meant to plug the quiet voids of a lazy afternoon. This is a deliberate broadcast, one that has been patiently lingering until you achieve the exact state of readiness required to intercept it. And so, you stand here, positioned at the immaculate intersection of chronological time and physical space. It is paramount that you grasp a foundational truth before we plunge any further down this rabbit hole together. The sheer reality that you remain standing, enduring, and persistently holding on to your authentic core identity despite the myriad of obstacles shoving against you is an achievement of massive proportions. It is certainly not a guaranteed outcome. There have been various dynamics within your sphere, be they cultural expectations, societal norms, or perhaps even intimate familial pressures that have actively sought to censor and mold you. There is an unspoken, invasive coercion permeating our globe, meticulously engineered to crush anything extraordinary, extinguish any radiant light, and suppress whatever dares to defy the prepackaged boxes of societal conformity. This systemic force demands that you remain docile, easily controlled, and perpetually muted. Yet, miraculously, you have refused to collapse. You have fiercely guarded your intrinsic essence against the suffocating gravity of mediocrity. You have consistently rejected the temptation to exchange your profound depths for the cheap illusion of a simplistic, convenient life. Within the intricate quantum framework that constructs our reality, your steadfast defiance against assimilation represents one of the most potent and exceptionally scarce frequencies a sentient being could possibly broadcast. It generates a very distinct oscillation within the universal field, an energetic footprint that highlights you as a focal point of immense intrigue for the grand intelligence of the cosmos. However, there is a crucial element regarding this energetic emission that is rarely discussed. It does far more than simply paint a picture of your character. It actively dictates the very nature of what is permitted to enter your orbit. This frequency functions as an invisible jurisdictional shield. It serves as the ultimate arbiter, dictating precisely which blessings the cosmos is authorized to deliver into your hands, and which chaotic elements must be held firmly at a distance. And precisely at this current juncture, within the exact second you elected to step into this space, the universe is making a concentrated effort to reveal a highly specific revelation. It is striving to articulate a profound truth that your entire existence has been laying the groundwork for a reality that will only begin to crystallize once you finally acquire the fluency to interpret the cosmic dialect it has been utilizing since the very beginning. Before we delve into the intricate mechanics of how the fabric of reality converses with human awareness, it is imperative that you intimately recognize the validity of your own profound nature. There exists a distinct archetype of individual who navigates the earthly plane carrying a highly specific gravity. This is not the heavy burden of defeat, nor is it the lethargy of fragility. Rather, it is the substantial mass of profound depth. It is the honorable cross borne by someone who processes emotional currents far more intensely than the populace surrounding them. It is the signature of a soul who absorbs a greater volume of wisdom in a single, leading observation than most acquire over the span of an entire lifetime, and who fiercely champions authenticity and moral righteousness within a society that frequently penalizes both. You are intimately acquainted with this density because it has been your constant companion since childhood. You perceived it during those solitary occasions when you observed peers who appeared untethered, comfortably simplistic, and blissfully liberated from the exhausting compulsion to decipher the hidden motives behind surface-level actions. You have undoubtedly questioned your own sanity, pondering if you possessed a fundamental flaw. You have worried that your presence was simply too overwhelming, or perhaps, during your most desperate hours, you feared you were inadequate simply because you lacked the capacity to exist on a superficial plane. You have felt chronically out of sync with the environment you were dropped into, akin to a magnificent musical instrument intricately tuned to a symphonic scale that absolutely no one else in the room was equipped to play. Allow that painful thought to land, and then grant yourself the permission to watch it completely dissolve. Because here, right now, lies the ultimate truth destined to permanently alter the trajectory of your existence. That perceived heaviness you carry is by no means a systematic malfunction of your psyche. That profound depth of character is absolutely not a structural defect requiring a cure. Your acute sensitivity, that stubborn refusal to dilute your beautiful complexity into something easily digestible, that utter inability to feign ignorance regarding the intense emotions you process or the profound truths you innately understand. All of this constitutes your unique quantum signature. It is the highly specialized, energetic fingerprint that the cosmos has been tirelessly attempting to lock onto. Consider every single transmission it has dispatched your way, every bizarre serendipitous event, every sudden flash of inexplicable intuition, and every solitary instance where precisely the right phrase manifested exactly when you were on the precipice of surrendering. Every solitary piece of this cosmic puzzle has been meticulously addressed to your specific vibrational frequency. It was never a random broadcast. It was formulated for you, with absolute precision and unmistakable intentionality. Reflect on the fact that the vast majority of humanity traverses their entire earthly journey immersed within a universe that is ceaselessly and vibrantly conversing with them, yet they manage to interpret absolutely nothing of this grand dialogue. This deafness is not an indicator of a lack of intellect, nor does it imply they are spiritually deficient in any judgmental sense of the word. The reality is far more mundane. They were simply never educated in the native tongue of the cosmos. Society conditions us from birth to operate under the assumption that true dialogue mandates spoken vocabulary, that it necessitates a clearly defined sender, a designated receiver, and a strictly logical, linear medium of exchange. However, the grand architecture of the universe entirely bypasses human linguistics. Instead, it eloquently articulates its messages through intricate patterns. It converses through the impeccable timing of an occurrence that unfolds a seemingly disastrous second too late, or a miraculously fortunate second too early. It communicates via the sudden, undeniable texture of an instinctual feeling that blossoms within your solar plexus, completely devoid of any rational justification. It whispers through that hauntingly vivid dream that clings to your consciousness for 3 consecutive days, stubbornly refusing to evaporate into the mundane fog of your morning routine. It speaks directly to your soul through the lips of a passing stranger who casually delivers the exact revelation you desperately required, or through that frustratingly stubborn door that adamantly refuses to yield, regardless of how fiercely you hurl yourself against its frame. This is not mere poetic metaphor. We are discussing literal, structural mechanics. This is the tangible, practical application of advanced quantum field theory integrated seamlessly into the daily human experience. The empirical sciences that decode the foundational scaffolding of our reality explicitly confirm that absolutely everything is fundamentally composed of vibration. Nothing is exempt. The physical chair supporting your weight, the invisible oxygen inflating your lungs, and even the fleeting abstract thoughts currently cascading through your neural pathways, they are all, at their core, pure energy, in a perpetual state of motion. We inhabit a paradoxical realm constructed of particles that simultaneously behave as fluid waves, a reality where dense matter is merely a localized manifestation of a specific frequency. At this primordial, foundational bedrock, long before reality solidifies into the predictable, rigid environment you traverse each day, every single element exists in a state of ceaseless, instantaneous dialogue. Every atom is intimately entangled. Every particle is infinitely responsive to the whole. The ancient wisdom keepers recognized and utilized this phenomenon millennia before contemporary science developed the mathematical equations necessary to empirically validate it. Long before the clinical terminology of modern physics was ever conceived, sacred traditions spanning every corner of the globe were eloquently articulating this exact same undeniable truth. The visionary seers of the Vedic tradition visualized Indra's transcendent net, a boundless and cosmic web where every single intersecting jewel perfectly and infinitely reflects the brilliance of every other jewel. Hermetic philosophers taught the enduring axiom, as above, so below, as within, so without, perfectly acknowledging the fractal, mirroring architecture of our existence. Sufi mystics poetically envisioned a universe that functioned as the literal respiration of the divine, a perpetual cycle of exhaling the infinite into tangible form and deeply inhaling it back into the vast, formless mystery. Today, our leading quantum physicists attach sterile labels to these concepts, referring to them as non-locality, quantum entanglement, and the observer effect. Yet, strip away the nomenclature, and you realize these are simply divergent dialects struggling to articulate the exact same monumental truth. The cosmos is unequivocally not a cold, unfeeling machine blindly churning away in the sterile darkness. Rather, it is a brilliantly alive, dynamically responsive, and endlessly communicative field of supreme intelligence. Furthermore, you are not merely an isolated, passive spectator peering through a window. You are a vital, deeply integrated node pulsating within that very network. You operate simultaneously as a highly sensitive receiver and a remarkably potent transmitter. The energetic caliber of the signals you continuously broadcast dictates, with absolute mathematical certainty, the caliber of the experiences the overarching field will systematically route back to your specific coordinates. This precise mechanism is the force currently overhauling and rewriting the script of your reality. Your personal frequency should never be mistaken for a fleeting emotional mood. Rather, it is the very essence of your being. Every single thought you consistently entertain, every familiar emotional state you habitually retreat into, and every internal narrative you tirelessly recite regarding your identity and your intrinsic worth, these are far more than private, isolated psychological occurrences taking place inside your skull. They are robust, continuous frequency transmissions. They are powerful beacons radiating outward into the vast cosmic field. And because this field is fundamentally governed by the uncompromising law of resonance, it is geometrically obligated to echo back the exact energetic match to whatever you are projecting. This is precisely the juncture where theoretical concepts crystallize into tangible reality. Over the course of the past several months, you have been subjected to an intense, albeit entirely silent, internal reorganization. You have palpably sensed the atmospheric pressure intensifying, the dissonant static of your former life growing increasingly intolerable and abrasive, and the guiding signals from the universe transforming from gentle suggestions into urgent mandates. You are being forcefully summoned out of the exhausting theatrical performance of merely playing a person and propelled into the profound, authentic existence of operating as a sovereign soul. The cosmos has ceased its gentle whispering. It has drastically escalated its tactics, transitioning from a subtle, polite nudge to a massive, seismic gravitational pull. Why? Because the era of simply holding the line and surviving is officially concluding. It is now time for you to actively master and navigate the energetic field. Your relentless endurance through the darkness has served as your ultimate validation. Now, however, a grander invitation is being extended, an invitation to step fully into your divine authority. The synchronicities and signs you are encountering are no longer merely breadcrumbs or subtle clues. They have evolved into precise navigational coordinates. They are definitively signaling that the outdated chapter of your life, the one entirely predicated upon the exhausting endeavor of fitting in, has reached its definitive conclusion. The new paradigm, one founded entirely upon the intricate art of frequencing in, has officially commenced. You are finally being acknowledged by the universe, not for your earthly achievements or productivity, but for the pristine clarity of the energetic signal you so stubbornly refuse to abandon. This profound cosmic recognition marks the undeniable genesis of your ultimate sovereign activation. The cosmos is not merely attempting to pass along a fleeting, impersonal message. It is actively striving to demonstrate that you have been its intended recipient since the dawn of your consciousness. As we journey further into this exploration, we will master the art of deciphering these cosmic flares with the calculating precision of a master navigator. We are going to transmute that exhausting burden you have shouldered into the very kinetic energy that propels your new reality. However, to truly comprehend this transmission, you must first grasp the nature of the conduit. The universe does not utilize human vocabulary as its medium. Rather, it communicates through the pure, unadulterated resonance of the absolute. We frequently stumble through our existence akin to scholars attempting to read an ancient manuscript in a dialect we only barely comprehend. We might recognize the structural shapes of the ink on the page, yet we remain entirely oblivious to the breathtaking poetry hidden within the syntax. But the cosmic intelligence is an unparalleled orator, and it has meticulously cultivated 5 distinct dialects, 5 highly specific categories of energetic signals designed exclusively to recalibrate your personal frequency back to its most pristine, authentic baseline. Before we systematically dissect these dialects, allow me to share the profound chronicle of a woman named Mira, remembered in esoteric circles as the weaver of the indigo thread. Mira resided in a rigidly structured community where every artisan was strictly mandated to manifest brilliantly crimson tapestries. In her world, crimson represented the bustling marketplace, the heavy weight of ancestral tradition, and the ultimate seal of societal approval. For countless years, Mira diligently executed her trade. She drove her wooden shuttle back and forth with flawless rhythm, intertwining the crimson silk with a mechanical perfection that garnered universal admiration. According to every superficial metric of success, she was an undeniable triumph. Nevertheless, as dusk fell each evening and she retreated to her cramped quarters, a haunting, hollow agony would bloom deep within the bones of her hands. It was a visceral sensation of profound betrayal, as if she were actively participating in a grand theatrical lie that her physical vessel was increasingly desperate to reject. Then, on one unremarkable afternoon, a solitary, rogue strand of profound indigo silk materialized inexplicably within her weaving basket. Its origins were a mystery, but the exact fraction of a second her fingertips grazed its surface, her cardiovascular rhythm faltered. It resonated not as a new discovery, but as an ancient, cellular memory. Terrified of this deviation, she hastily shoved it aside to resume her crimson conformity, but her reliable loom suddenly began to violently malfunction. The sturdy crimson threads inexplicably snapped under normal tension. The wooden shuttle aggressively snagged and splintered. The familiar, mandated pattern she had flawlessly executed thousands of times began to warp into a grotesque, chaotic tangle. This was the cosmic dialect of resistance, yet Mira mistakenly translated it as a personal failure. Consequently, she doubled down on her efforts. She procured even thicker crimson silk and exhausted herself deep into the midnight hours. Yet, the more aggressively she battled for the crimson, the more ruthlessly the universe dismantled her creation. Finally, shattered, exhausted, and weeping in defeat, she surrendered. She retrieved that single, hypnotic indigo thread and gingerly fed it through the mechanisms of her loom. The millisecond the indigo silk kissed the timber, the shuttle glided as if possessed by a living, breathing spirit. The wood ceased its splintering. The structural tension miraculously balanced itself. The chronic agony in her joints instantly evaporated, swiftly replaced by a soothing, electric current of profound vitality. Mira had never been failing. She was being forcefully redirected by an intrinsic frequency she had tragically forgotten was her birthright. She had spent a lifetime impersonating the crimson, but her soul was undeniably woven of indigo. Right now, in this exact coordinate of your life, you are standing at the precipice of your own indigo moment. The seemingly chaotic signals bombarding you are simply the universe deliberately handing you your authentic thread. The paramount dialect you must train your awareness to intercept is the language of repetition. Think of this as the resonant echo chamber of the quantum field. Have you recently observed how a highly specific theme, a peculiar vocabulary word, or even a distinct species of animal continuously intersects with your daily trajectory? Perhaps you are bombarded by a recurring sequence of numbers every time you glance at a digital clock, or perhaps 3 entirely disconnected acquaintances passionately recommend the exact same obscure novel to you within a condensed 48-hour window. The masses instinctively label this as trivial coincidence and blindly march forward. However, within the intricate architecture of the quantum field, the concept of a random occurrence is a mathematical impossibility. Repetition serves as the universe's strategic method for establishing a blazing focal point amidst an overwhelming infinite ocean of data. It acts as a deliberate, massive amplification of a highly specific frequency that holds critical relevance to your immediate stage of evolutionary development. The cosmos lacks a physical megaphone, so it relies upon the echo. It relentlessly bounces the signal across a multitude of disparate channels, a lyric leaping from a passing car's radio, a bold headline screaming from a discarded periodical, a seemingly throwaway remark from a barista, until the emerging pattern becomes so blindingly apparent that your rational mind is stripped of its ability to ignore it. Upon encountering this repetition, you must cease inquiring about its generic meaning and immediately begin interrogating what hidden internal truth it is desperately attempting to illuminate within your own psyche. Is it a loud summons to summon dormant courage? Is it a poignant resurrection of a deeply buried childhood aspiration? Or is it an urgent directive to meticulously reevaluate a monumental crossroad you are currently approaching? This cosmic echo is never dispatched to merely entertain your intellect. It is deployed to fundamentally reorient your trajectory. The secondary dialect, and arguably the most agonizingly difficult for the human ego to conquer, is the language of resistance. From infancy, we are deeply indoctrinated with the toxic fallacy that if our desire for a specific outcome is potent enough, we can simply bulldoze it into materialization through the sheer, brute force of human willpower, society romanticizes the struggle, insisting that a no is merely a trivial hurdle, daring us to jump higher. But within the flawless geometry of the absolute, encountering persistent, illogical, and immovable resistance is, more often than not, a profound, breathtaking act of divine mercy. When that metaphorical door adamantly refuses to budge despite your most exhausting, blood-drawing efforts, when that prestigious career opportunity evaporates into thin air at the 11th hour, or when that interpersonal dynamic you have bled to sustain repeatedly disintegrates into ash, the universe is emphatically not administering a punishment. Rather, it is fiercely guarding the sacred integrity of your core frequency. It is acting as a cosmic bouncer, actively preventing you from merging with a discordant energetic field that would inevitably dilute, poison, or utterly annihilate your spiritual coherence. Resistance is the universe's uncompromising method of screaming, "This is fundamentally not your thread." Had Mira successfully forced her will upon that crimson tapestry, she would have tragically cemented her status as a revered master of a toxic craft that was systematically suffocating her soul. The agonizing resistance she battled was the sole mechanism potent enough to compel her to finally acknowledge the indigo. Therefore, upon colliding with an immovable barrier, you must vigorously resist the frantic urge to apply more brute force. Instead, initiate a deliberate, sacred pause. Interrogate your current circumstances with genuine curiosity. What unseen hazard is this barricade actively shielding me from? What magnificent elevated alignment is the cosmos currently excavating space for? It is a paradoxical truth that, occasionally, the most staggering blessing the universe can ever bestow upon you is the exact prize it adamantly refuses to place within your grasp. This brings us to the third dialect, the phenomenon of profound intuitive cognition. This is the silent, lightning, fast transmission of inner wisdom that completely outpaces the plodding speed of conscious thought. It is the undeniable energetic signal that arrives on your shores long before any empirical evidence is available to validate it. It manifests as that sudden, piercing certainty dictating that you must immediately vacate a social gathering. Even if on the surface, the evening appears perfectly pleasant, it is the chilling realization that an individual standing before you is fundamentally misrepresenting their character, despite the fact that their vocabulary and outward behavior seem entirely flawless. It is that visceral, undeniable survival instinct residing deep within your solar plexus that has miraculously preserved your physical safety on more occasions than you could possibly tally. What you are experiencing in these moments is your sovereign consciousness operating at the non-local level of the quantum framework, a dimension where vital data is completely unconstrained by the mundane limitations of linear time or physical space. Your personal energetic halo, your unique auric field, is downloading and deciphering high-level intelligence that your physical eyes and biological ears have not yet had the opportunity to process. It is a direct, unadulterated upload from the absolute source code straight into your cellular memory. The great tragedy of our contemporary paradigm is that society has aggressively conditioned us to elevate sterile logic far above this innate cognition. We are trained to relentlessly demand physical proof before we dare to place trust in our own internal resonance. Yet, logic is an agonizingly slow, strictly linear mechanism, whereas true inner knowing is an instantaneous, multi-dimensional flash of absolute clarity. To accurately decode this specific signal, you must fiercely train yourself to honor the very first flash of insight. The secondary thought that inevitably follows is almost entirely the fragile ego desperately attempting to rationalize that radical truth back into a comfortable, familiar illusion. That initial, unvarnished flash, that is the pristine voice of the universe speaking directly to you. The fourth dialect is the beautiful language of synchronistic arrival, the flawless, impeccable orchestration of absolute timing. This phenomenon is the exact polar opposite of resistance. It is the miraculous cascade of events that unfolds the moment you finally find the courage to pick up your personal indigo thread. It is the serendipitous, life-altering encounter that only materializes because you frustratingly missed your scheduled train. It is the unexpected message that illuminates your screen, the precise millisecond a specific individual crossed your mind. It is the grand resolution to a complex problem that magically presents itself on the exact afternoon you utterly surrendered your exhausting need to figure it all out. This arrival is the ultimate hallmark of profound alignment. It serves as tangible, indisputable evidence that your internal frequency has finally achieved deep coherence with the overarching field of your maximum potential. When you surrender to the current of this arrival, your daily existence adopts a breathtaking quality of effortless grace. You are no longer required to aggressively hunt down elusive opportunities. Instead, they magnetically track you down. You are freed from the desperate need to recruit the proper allies. They naturally gravitate toward the purity of your energetic broadcast. Do not mistake this for fairy tale magic. It is the cold, hard, natural operation of universal resonance. Two distinct systems vibrating at the identical frequency are mathematically obligated by the uncompromising laws of physics to eventually collide. The arrival is the cosmos confirming that your exhausting theatrical performance has ended and your era of authentic being has commenced. It is the ultimate compensation for possessing the audacity to let the artificial crimson thread snap. Finally, we arrive at the fifth dialect, the terrifying language of structural dissolution, commonly known as the breakdown. This is undeniably the most profoundly misunderstood and universally feared signal in the entire cosmic repertoire. It is that apocalyptic chapter where the foundational pillars of your existence, your established career path, your most intimate relationships, and perhaps even your fundamental sense of identity appear to violently collapse in unison. It masquerades as an unmitigated catastrophe, feeling viscerally as though the universe has callously abandoned its duty to care for you. In reality, however, this breakdown is the absolute's most radical, loving act of extreme renovation. You simply cannot construct an enduring temple of radiant light upon a crumbling foundation of shifting sand. More often than not, the familiar lives we have so carefully assembled are tenuously held together by stagnant, outdated frequencies, unhealed generational traumas, and performative, hollow identities. When the universe deliberately initiates a phase of dissolution, it is mercilessly stripping away every single layer that is not intrinsically, authentically you. It is systematically dismantling the static interference so that the pristine, high-fidelity signal of your true nature can finally break through the noise. Is it agonizing? Unquestionably. Is it profoundly disorienting? Absolutely. Yet, it is also the sacred, mandatory clearing of the brush that must precede the grand activation. Every single breakdown you have miraculously survived thus far was not a punishment, but an exclusive invitation to ascend to a superior level of energetic coherence. It was the universe aggressively ripping the suffocating crimson tapestry out of your hands so you could finally recognize the magnificent architecture of the loom itself. These 5 distinct languages are not isolated phenomena. They form a continuous, overlapping symphony. The grand intelligence is actively utilizing them at this very second to meticulously weave an entirely new paradigm of reality around you. It is rigorously testing your resonance, fine-tuning your broadcast, and intensely preparing your spirit for an expansive elevation that your former, smaller self would have been fundamentally incapable of surviving. That immense weight you have been feeling, that is merely the atmospheric pressure of this profound internal calibration. The agonizing losses you have recently endured, that is simply the necessary shedding of the artificial red threads. And that fragile, budding stillness you are just now beginning to uncover amidst the swirling chaos, that is the ultimate confirmation that you are finally learning to hear the cosmic music. You are rapidly evolving beyond the role of the humble weaver. You are transforming into the magnificent cloth itself. You are coalescing into a perfectly coherent expression of the absolute, a brilliant, undeniable node of light pulsating within a grand field that is finally fully prepared to receive you. The transmissions will persist, and their clarity will magnify exponentially in direct proportion to how quiet you allow yourself to become. Your primary objective is no longer to intellectually decipher the entire map. Your sole responsibility is to remain fiercely open, flawlessly honest with yourself, and to persistently, unapologetically reach for that indigo thread. This profound dialogue has only just commenced. The cosmos possesses an infinite volume of wisdom yet to share with you. It is whispering to you right now in the silent spaces between your heartbeats, in the recurring patterns woven through your days, and in the very core of the heavy mantle you have carried for so long. Cease listening merely with your biological ears and begin tuning in with your entire energetic field. The ultimate truth is already present, patiently lingering for the moment you finally choose to recognize it. You are simultaneously the master navigator, the skilled weaver, and the infinite quantum field itself. Every single repetition is a trusty compass point. Every moment of resistance is a heavily guarded safe harbor. Every flash of knowing is a star-illuminated map, and every synchronistic arrival is a glorious destination, finally reached. And within the terrifying collapse of every structural breakdown, an entirely unprecedented cosmos is violently, beautifully birthing itself into existence. Step boldly into this newly decoded language. Immerse yourself completely within the boundless current of the absolute. Your unique energetic frequency is no longer a tentative question mark hovering in the void. It is the definitive, resounding answer that the grand universal consciousness has been patiently waiting for you to articulate. Fiercely embrace the truth of your indigo essence, willingly release the suffocating grip of the mandated red, and stand in awe as the magnificent, intricate tapestry of your most authentic existence finally begins to materialize, thread by thread, right before your very eyes. You have triumphantly navigated your way to the precise intersection where ethereal cosmic signals solidify into tangible reality, and your daily reality simultaneously transforms into a potent outward signal. The power of ultimate activation now rests squarely within the palms of your own hands. Everything we have meticulously unpacked up to this exact moment, from deciphering the clandestine dialects of the quantum field to immersing ourselves in the visceral, metaphorical journey of Mira, the Weaver has been purposefully guiding us toward this ultimate threshold of profound self-recognition. We have successfully journeyed through the intricate art of decoding energetic transmissions and thoroughly reframed the agonizing concept of resistance. Yet, the time has now arrived to discuss the actual, underlying architecture itself, the foundational energetic structure that every single one of these cosmic nudges was meticulously designed to illuminate and fully activate within your physical being. This represents the third, and undeniably, the most crucial, dimensional layer of our ongoing broadcast, simply because this is the exact juncture where abstract theory morphs into a living, breathing, and undeniable reality. We are now formally stepping across the threshold into the radiant, luminous architecture of your own personal halo. For far too many centuries, the concept of the human energy field has been carelessly dismissed as nothing more than a pretty poetic metaphor or a delightfully vague spiritual enigma. However, the intense crucible of your recent, lived experiences stands as undeniable, empirical proof that this auric field is, in fact, a highly functional, fiercely protective, and radically creative organ belonging to your higher consciousness. When examining ancient, sacred manuscripts and classical iconography, this radiant energetic boundary was frequently illustrated as a glowing physical crown or a distinct golden circle of light hovering above the head. It is vital to understand that these depictions were never intended to represent mere decorative ornaments denoting earthly prestige or status. Rather, they served as highly precise, technical diagrams, illustrating a maximally functioning human vessel, an individual whose internal energetic coherence had successfully achieved an unstoppable critical mass. This supreme state of elevated coherence is precisely the frequency you are rapidly approaching right at this very moment. That suffocating atmospheric pressure you have been enduring, the devastating emotional losses you have been forced to navigate, and that agonizingly silent period where you stubbornly held the line against the darkness, all of these elements have served as a mandatory process of structural tempering. You have been mercilessly forged within a raging furnace that was never, for a single second, designed to incinerate you. Its sole, divine purpose was to scorch away the toxic impurities of societal performance and egoic illusion, ensuring that the indestructible diamond of your authentic frequency could finally become dense and pure enough to support the immense weight of its own blinding light. There exists a highly specific, undeniable caliber of authority that cannot be purchased, gifted, or inherited. It can only be brutally earned through the unforgiving fire of intense, personal tribulation. We might appropriately label this elevated resonance as the frequency of the crown. This has absolutely nothing in common with the fragile, superficial authority granted by a corporate title, a bulging bank account, or an arbitrary worldly position. It is, instead, the unshakable sovereignty of a consciousness that has been dragged through the absolute, suffocating abyss of total darkness and stubbornly, miraculously, refused to fold or surrender its core essence. You are already intimately acquainted with this specific brand of authority because, as we speak, you can palpably feel its profound density settling deep within the marrow of your own bones. It manifests as that profoundly quiet, utterly immovable sense of crystalline certainty that slowly blossoms the moment you realize a profound truth. The absolute worst devastation the external world could possibly inflict upon you has already transpired, and yet, miraculously, you remain standing. You are still breathing, still flawlessly transmitting your signal, and still fundamentally, intrinsically whole. This profound realization triggers the exact monumental shift where your personal halo permanently graduates from being a fragile, passive bubble of mere emotional protection into an impenetrable, actively radiating sovereign shield. Once your energetic frequency reaches this level of pristine clarity and your internal coherence locks into its highest gear, a miraculous phenomenon occurs. You are completely liberated from the exhausting chore of constantly defending yourself against the swirling, low-frequency chaos of the external environment. You are no longer required to construct massive psychological walls or live your life in a state of perpetual, anxious bracing, just waiting for the next inevitable blow to fall. Within the mechanics of the quantum field, brilliant light is never required to engage in a desperate, exhausting boxing match with the darkness. Light simply arrives, confidently occupies the spatial volume, and the darkness mathematically ceases to exist. By committing to being unapologetically, flawlessly yourself, by fiercely refusing to abdicate your hard-earned crown, even on the days when its weight feels utterly crushing, you automatically generate a robust, energetic field where toxic, incoherent vibrations simply cannot locate a viable surface to attach themselves to. This is the absolute, unvarnished definition of what it truly means to be spiritually and energetically untouchable. It does not imply a sociopathic absence of valid human emotion, nor does it necessitate a cowardly, escapist flight from the harsh realities of the physical dimension. Rather, it represents the overwhelming, undeniable presence of a personal frequency broadcast so intensely powerful that absolutely no external force possesses the capacity to override, scramble, or rewrite it. However, it is imperative that you ground this lofty intellectual understanding directly into your physical physiology right now. For an energetic frequency that fails to properly anchor itself within the dense matter of human flesh is ultimately nothing more than the fleeting ghost of a pleasant philosophical idea. If your current environment permits it, I invite you to gently layer both of your hands directly over the center of your sternum, placing one palm securely atop the other over your heart center. Consciously register the immediate, tangible physical warmth that organically begins to generate in the narrow space between your resting palms and your chest. Allow your eyelids to heavily drift shut for just a fleeting moment, and draw a tremendously long, agonizingly slow, and intensely deliberate breath directly into that very cavity. As your lungs expand on the inhale, I need you to acutely recognize that you are not merely metabolizing ambient oxygen. You are literally inhaling the raw, foundational substance of the unified cosmic field itself. You are breathing in the exact same pristine, overarching intelligence that has been persistently hunting you down, dispatching those relentless signals disguised as bizarre repetitions and agonizing resistance. Subsequently, as you release that breath in a steady exhale, visualize that potent, integrated frequency brilliantly radiating outward from the absolute core of your heart center. Picture it forcefully penetrating through the dense bone of your rib cage, permeating the porous boundary of your skin, and rapidly expanding out to claim the three-dimensional space immediately surrounding your body. With every single cycle of respiration, witness this personal energy field growing exponentially more luminous, sharply defined, and flawlessly coherent. Understand this crucial distinction. You are not exhaustingly constructing this energetic barricade from scratch. You are merely consciously acknowledging the magnificent architecture that has already been meticulously installed. A structure that has simply been lying dormant, patiently awaiting the focused beam of your conscious attention to serve as the final, igniting key in the ignition. The cosmos acts as the ultimate, flawless observer. The very millisecond you deliberately pivot the spotlight of your conscious awareness toward the existence of your own radiant halo, the surrounding quantum field immediately responds to that command by audibly locking your shields perfectly into place. This process is your literal, somatic activation. It marks the profound, monumental juncture where the weary earthly explorer and the masterful cosmic navigator finally merge into a single, unified entity. Lean into the subtle, electric tingling beginning to dance across the tips of your fingers, and acknowledge the profound, spacious expansion occurring deep within the chambers of your lungs. This is not imagination. This is the undeniable, biological evidence that your elevated frequency is officially completing its metamorphosis, upgrading from a fleeting, hypothetical possibility into a rock-solid, permanent operational baseline. While you comfortably anchor yourself within this newfound resonant frequency, it is imperative that you fully absorb a radical paradigm shift, one that will permanently alter the lens through which you interpret every future obstacle. The vast majority of humanity navigates their earthly existence, operating under the tragic illusion that they are merely helpless passengers trapped aboard a fragile vessel, entirely at the terrifying mercy of turbulent ocean waves and capricious winds. Consequently, their emotional baseline is dictated by external conditions, basking in fleeting joy during periods of calm, yet plunging headfirst into catastrophic despair the moment a dark tempest gathers on the horizon. However, you are presently being summoned to awaken to a far grander cosmic truth. You are categorically not the fragile ship, nor are you the chaotic waves violently crashing against the hull. You, in your truest essence, are the boundless sky. Contemplate the sheer, unadulterated majesty of the firmament for a moment. It serves as the infinite, profoundly silent theater within which all atmospheric phenomena unfold. A storm may rage with catastrophic violence. The thunderheads may block out the sun with suffocating density, and gale-force winds may scream with terrifying hostility, yet the sky itself remains fundamentally unscathed by the turbulence. It cannot be saturated by the torrential downpour, nor can its fabric be scorched by the searing heat of a lightning strike. Soaring far above the terrestrial chaos, the upper atmosphere exists in a state of perpetual, undisturbed clarity, endlessly silent and spectacularly vast. This immovable vastness precisely mirrors your authentic spiritual nature. Those suffocating bouts of clinical anxiety, the devastating chapters of profound grief, and that crushing existential weight of the modern world are nothing more than transient meteorological events, casually drifting across the expansive firmament of your conscious awareness. Make no mistake, these emotional storms are viscerally real and deeply felt, but they absolutely do not and cannot define the overarching parameters of your energetic field. By diligently anchoring yourself in the perspective of the eternal sky, you grant the atmospheric turbulence full permission to temporarily wash through your reality, without ever making the fatal mistake of identifying as the storm itself. This crucial emotional detachment is the ultimate hallmark of a truly sovereign cosmic navigator. You calmly observe the approaching signal, you intimately feel the friction of resistance, and you witness the structural breakdown, yet you flatly refuse to let your golden crown slip. You tenaciously hold the elevated frequency of the stratosphere, patiently waiting for the chaotic weather fronts to dissipate, armed with the unshakable conviction that your infinite vastness is the sole element of your existence that is genuinely permanent. In order to permanently fuse this profound energetic activation into the hard circuitry of your daily reality, I am officially inviting you to participate in a rigorous 7-day protocol rooted in empirical evidence. For the duration of the upcoming week, your assignment is to operate as an objective, meticulous scientist, studying the unique physics of your own vibrational broadcast. Procure a dedicated notebook or utilize a secure digital document on your device to maintain a precise, chronological log. Every single time you intercept a crystalline moment of pure intuition, that undeniable, inaugural flash of inner knowing that strikes milliseconds before your logical brain can dissect it, you must immediately document the occurrence. Log the specific nature of the signal, record whether you possess the courage to obey its directive, and meticulously detail the exact sequence of events that unfolded immediately thereafter. Do not burden yourself with applying this experiment to massive, life-altering crossroads just yet. Your primary focus must remain entirely on the seemingly microscopic variables of your day. Track the sudden, inexplicable urge to navigate down an alternate route during your commute. Document the bizarre, irrational impulse to delay a scheduled phone call by a mere 5 minutes, or record that startling moment when the image of a distant acquaintance flashes across your mind's eye, only for their name to materialize on your phone screen less than an hour later. Upon the successful conclusion of this 7-day observational period, you will have organically compiled an undeniable written dossier proving beyond a shadow of a doubt that the cosmos is engaged in a continuous, highly personalized dialogue with your consciousness. You will possess cold, hard, empirical proof validating that your energetic halo is actively operating as a flawlessly calibrated receiver, perfectly designed to intercept high-frequency cosmic data. It is precisely this overwhelming mountain of personalized evidence that possesses the sheer power to finally silence the terrified, screaming voice of the fragile human ego, that traumatized fragment of your psyche that is still desperately clinging to the tragic illusion that you are isolated, abandoned, and entirely unheard in the vast darkness of space. The moment you hold that indisputable proof in your own hands, the archaic requirement to blindly believe in the universe instantly evaporates. Belief becomes obsolete because you are now actively living in a fluid, continuous conversation with the divine architecture. This precise methodological approach is exactly how you effectively bridge the daunting chasm separating abstract spiritual philosophies from a grounded, lived experience of absolute sovereign reality. The exhausting era of acting as a perpetual seeker, endlessly scouring the external world for elusive answers handed down by gurus or texts, is rapidly accelerating toward its definitive conclusion. The overarching cosmic intelligence is absolutely no longer demanding that you exhaust yourself trying to locate the light at the end of the tunnel. Instead, it is firmly demanding that you finally look in the mirror and recognize that you have fundamentally become the light source itself. The full, radiant activation of your auric halo is by no means a distant, geographical destination you are struggling to arrive at someday. Rather, it is the profound, retroactive recognition of a massive energetic shift that has already flawlessly executed itself within your cellular blueprint. Rest assured, the magnificent, higher dimensional forces operating seamlessly at the ultimate level of the absolute are not sitting upon a distant celestial throne, harshly criticizing your earthly performance or grading your spiritual progress. On the contrary, they are operating in locked resonance with your exact frequency. They are actively contributing their own massive, energetic coherence to your personal auric field, structurally reinforcing your luminous architecture and fiercely holding open the necessary energetic space to accommodate your impending, boundless expansion. You must understand that you are an integral, irreplaceable component of a sprawling global network of energetic lighthouses. Every single one of us is tasked with firmly holding down a highly specific geographical and vibrational coordinate. We are collectively responsible for maintaining the heavy weight of our crowns amidst the terrifying pressure of a society in the throes of radical transformation. When you courageously choose to stand tall within your own pristine coherence, you mathematically reduce the energetic friction for every other soul in the network, making it infinitely easier for them to locate and stabilize their own frequency. You are a vital, pulsating node of illumination woven deep into the master grid of planetary awakening, and the unadulterated purity of your transmission is exponentially more critical than your current level of human comprehension can even begin to fathom. You are undeniably relevant to the grand design. You are still standing tall after the tempest, and you are, at long last, thoroughly prepared to embody the exact magnificent frequency that, for so many decades, you only passively hope to stumble across in the outside world. If the profound gravity of this absolute truth is currently pressing down against your sternum, if you can vividly feel the electric hum of pure recognition coursing through your cellular structure like a refreshing, subterranean river of glacial water, then the moment has arrived to permanently anchor your unique signal directly into our collective digital and energetic field. I am instructing you to consciously type a highly specific cipher into the comment section below this transmission. I demand that you do not treat this as a meaningless, obligatory social media engagement tactic, but rather as a binding, sovereign declaration of your newly activated frequency. Type exactly this: my frequency is my protection. The very second you imprint these specific characters onto the screen, you are actively transmitting a brilliant flare deep into the quantum grid, confirming beyond a doubt that the encrypted transmission has been successfully intercepted and decoded. You are instantaneously graduating from the role of a passive, sideline observer and stepping fully into your power as an engaged, active co-creator within the powerful, resonant field of this specific community. Consider your typed response as a literal, glowing thread of photonic light being deliberately woven into an infinitely larger, masterful tapestry of global coherence. Allow yourself to physically feel the raw, buzzing power of that sovereign declaration surging through your fingertips as you strike the keys. Immerse yourself in the profound energetic intention standing boldly behind every single letter you construct. By executing this simple action, you are issuing a formal decree to the cosmos that your internal dial has been permanently calibrated. You are announcing that your golden crown has been officially reclaimed, and your protective auric halo is now fully online and operational. You have successfully graduated to become the absolute, sovereign master navigator charting the course of your own customized reality. As you inevitably transition back into the mundane, rhythmic flow of your daily earthly routines, I urge you to securely pack this profound, unshakable stillness into your heart and carry it with you. Do not hesitate to return to this specific transmission and rewatch it from the beginning during those inevitable cycles when the abrasive, chaotic static of the dying old world begins to scream a little too loudly in your ears, or whenever the turbulent, unpredictable weather of your external circumstances viciously attempts to gaslight you into believing you are anything less than infinitely vast. Permit this specific collection of words to function as a flawless, energetic tuning fork for your eternal soul. Whenever the static of the external world threatens your peace, let this transmission continuously recalibrate your internal compass, relentlessly drawing your conscious awareness back to the limitless, untouchable frequency of the boundless sky we just explored. I need you to permanently banish the toxic, societal illusion that you have somehow fallen behind your peers, or that you are wandering aimlessly off your designated path. You are unequivocally not lost. In reality, you are standing in triumph upon the exact, mathematically perfect cosmic coordinate that your grueling, magnificent journey has flawlessly prepared you to occupy. As you step forward from this moment, Rest assured that the divine transmissions will not cease. Rather, they will exponentially amplify. The synchronistic echoes and repetitions will begin to crystallize with breathtaking, undeniable clarity, and the miraculous arrivals will execute themselves with the pinpoint, flawless precision of a master clockmaker. I am of your luminous architecture of your newly awakened auric field. Place your unwavering faith in the profound, non-linear intelligence perpetually generated by your own heart center. But above every other directive, you must fiercely trust the undeniable, empirical reality of your own resilience. You bravely walked directly through the searing inferno, and instead of being reduced to ash, you emerged infinitely more authentic, more potent, and more intrinsically yourself than at any prior chapter of your earthly existence. To continue this profound momentum, the immediate sequential transmission intricately linked to today's activation is a guide titled, "Your Frequency Just Shifted." Within that upcoming broadcast, we will meticulously dissect and decode the complex cosmic mechanics behind the profound energetic upgrades that actively transpired entirely outside your conscious awareness, while your physical body was submerged in the restorative depths of sleep last night. As you rise from this space, understand that the grand, overarching intelligence of the universe is currently in the very midst of formulating a massive, tangible response to your newly announced arrival. March boldly forward into the timeline of your life and intercept these incoming blessings with the quiet, unshakable, and profoundly settled certainty of an individual who possesses the absolute knowledge that they have effortlessly blossomed into the exact masterpiece they were eternally destined to become. The sovereign halo is fully online and brilliantly active. The master navigator has officially taken the helm of the vessel. The overarching global grid is currently holding its breath, eagerly awaiting the unique brilliance of your personal broadcast. Stop striving, stop performing, and simply embody the radiant light that you fundamentally already are. Then, stand in absolute awe as every seemingly chaotic fragment of your external reality organically falls into its flawless, perfectly coherent position. The exhausting search is officially over. You are, finally and irreversibly, home.